P.S. This video is not meant to be dissing PewDiePie at all. He's doing really good. If PewDiePie can get here in 80 days, then you can too. And you can get there much faster if you put every tip that I mentioned into action, especially the final tip. But what if I told you that you don't need to spend 2 hours every day studying masters to get to this level? I mean, you probably knew that, but my point is, it's about having the right approach to learning itself. Luckily for you, I have 3 tips for learning to draw more effectively. If you have ever felt like your poses are stiff, well, you're not alone. Plus, there's a very simple fix that you can do. Of course, I am talking about gesture drawing. It's an effective study method that makes everything flow together and feel cohesive. Without it, my drawings looked flat and very one-dimensional. Art teachers like Mark Brunette, KSM and Proco all preach this technique like no other. There are practically infinite ways to do gesture drawing, as it isn't about making a good-looking drawing, but rather seeing the flow in life or other artworks. It is also about doing it fast, which makes it perfect to do as a simple drawing exercise to do daily. Now, learning to capture flow is great, but without knowing the basic shapes of the human body or any subject, you're not going to get the full picture. Even PewDiePie found himself stuck without this early on. Seeing and understanding the underlying shapes and forms helps you place each part of your drawing accurately, so you can spot and correct mistakes early on. This foundational approach gives you much more structure to your work, setting you up for success with more complex details later on. Think about PewDiePie's early attempts where he didn't quite nail it. As he improved, you can see how adding shapes added structure to his drawings, especially with the more challenging parts like the face and hair. Many professionals and art teachers swear by the importance of breaking down complex subjects into basic shapes. This method is widely used in art schools and recommended by experts because it works at every level of skill, from beginner to advanced. Start by looking at your reference and identifying the largest simple shapes that make up the overall form. For example, a figure, sketch out where the major shapes are, circle for the head, triangle for the chin, etc., etc. Rectangles to block out the body, arms, legs, and then, circles for the joints. Once you're happy with that, you can just draw curves around them, oversimplifying it, I know, and then you have a pretty basic human body, and you can tell that it's a perfect flow and shapes are great. But if the proportions are off, everything else will look a little wrong. Even if your lines are smooth and your shapes are solid, understanding proportions is what will make your drawing look realistic and balanced. Proportions are essential because they create balance and harmony, as I said before, between the parts of your drawing. For instance, if the head or the limbs are the wrong size relative to each other, the entire drawing will just feel off. Correct proportions help you draw figures and objects that look grounded and believable. Professional artists often use heads as a measurement tool for human figures, which helps things keep in proportion without needing any measuring for every tiny detail. This approach keeps proportions consistent, making it a powerful trick whether you're drawing a human or something as complex as a full scene. Almost everyone uses proportional guidelines to improve accuracy. It's a foundational part of art, backed by centuries of artistic practice. Use proportional guides like head measurement for the human, or other scaling techniques, such as cutting up a box into 7 parts, and then drawing all of your body inside of there. Finding the halfway point for the crotch, etc., etc. You can find a lot of this online. It's very simple if you just search body proportions. I can't explain everything here in a 10-minute video about general drawing. Now, even with all of this stuff that we've talked about, even with everything we've talked about up until this point, you're still going to have one big challenge: consistency. Without consistency, you'll often feel like every drawing is starting from scratch. Consistency is what turns individual drawing sessions into reliable skills. Without it, it's like starting from scratch every time you pick up a pencil. PewDiePie kept a daily routine, which allowed him to build momentum. and you can do even better than him. Every experienced artist knows that consistency is the backbone of progress. Even the best artists started somewhere, and they got to where they are through steady, deliberate practice. Consistency turns random scattered attempts into reliable, dependent skills. Nearly every professional artist advocates for consistency as one of, if not the most important factor in growth. Repetition and routine, often sketching similar subjects or following structured practices to improve over time. Set up a practice routine, even if it's only 10 to 15 minutes a day. Revisit similar exercises, subjects, or techniques to build consistent practice consistently. Over time, you'll notice that your skills stick more easily, making every drawing session feel natural and rewarding. Sometimes pews will just do 5 minutes, which is great, and it's good for being consistent with practice, but if you can do 10 to 30 minutes a day, you will absolutely get better than him. Now, the final piece that brings it all together is obsession. Yes, obsession with learning and improving. Now obviously this is a bit extreme, but it's what absolutely transforms your drawing from a hobby into a passion. By really diving deep, you'll push through harder stages of practice, finding joy in your progress rather than frustration in your mistakes. Think of any great artist. They usually have a story of how they kept going even when it was hard. This focused obsession to improve is what drives growth. If you want drawing to be a lifelong journey, a little healthy obsession can be the fuel that keeps you going. Ask any successful creative or artist. They'll often say that their passion became something they couldn't put down. Pretty obvious. From comic artists to illustrators, many say it's this obsession with their craft that keeps them improving and enjoying the process. Easiest way to do this is by watching YouTube videos about drawing, joining online or local communities with like-minded people, Discord for example. Look at other people's work, other artists, try and draw every day and explore new styles and ideas. Embrace the excitement of finding new techniques or pushing your skills. This drive will help you stay motivated and make drawing a part of your life, not just an activity that you do every now and then. Speaking of dedication, PewDiePie went all in on drawing every single day for a year. Want to know what he learnt from that experience? Imagine going through a full year of daily sketches, trying new techniques, and pushing through the days when nothing looks quite right. PewDiePie's year-long journey revealed a ton of insights into building a daily art habit and seeing real progress. Curious to see what happened? Click on the video in the middle to dive into what happens when you commit to drawing every day for a full year.